Warzone cheating is out of hand and we all know it, but a system called shadow banning has been affecting and ruining the experience for tens of thousands of innocent players. Today, we're gonna dive deep into how it happens and why Activision's doing it. To start things off, we're gonna be checking out a video from Blame Truth titled "No Effing Way Call of Duty Actually Did It." And while this video is about two-boxing, we're gonna be focusing on a very specific section specifically pertaining to shadow banning.
See, there's a little system in this game called shadow banning. I'm sure you've heard of it, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, shadow banning is where you get enough reports and then the AI determines you are a cheater or doing something nefarious, and it puts you in a shadow ban bracket.
And obviously, I know it's annoying to pause, but I do need to add a bit of context here. The system in place is not actually as AI as you think it is. In fact, everybody's constantly caught up in the idea of AI when in reality it's something called machine learning, which is basically where you teach machine a certain number of parameters and it bases things around those parameters. I personally don't believe there's much AI at all going into the Call of Duty anti-cheat. But the point is here that people are getting reported, and because of those reports, after you hit a certain number, you get thrown into limited matchmaking.
Now, the people in shadow ban brackets range from people actually cheating that aren't banned yet, so people wall hacking or just doing something that's not good.
Which is immediately weird that those players aren't just getting thrown out outright.
To people that are just good at the game and got reported because people thought they were cheating, to people that aren't very good at the game but were teaming up with like their bad friend or something and got reported enough to get put into the shadow ban bracket.
Which, by the way, is quite possibly why a lot of players that two-box actually get thrown into shadow ban lobbies or get limited matchmaking because certain players don't realize how good other players can get.
Some dad reported that he was like, he was playing with his son who isn't good at the game. He got enough reports on himself that he got put into a shadow ban bracket. And when you're in this bracket, you get put in there for a week and are basically just out of commission for a week.
And this happens all the time to regular players, to large players, to like anybody from good to bad. Every single person is having to deal with this over and over and over, especially after you get shadow banned the first time. Once you get thrown into that limited matchmaking, you will get freed and then immediately get thrown right into it again because it lowers your trust score every time you get shadow banned. It's incredibly weird.
The problem with this system is that once you are in this shadow ban bracket, your account's like flagged and it takes less reports to put you back into this bracket after. And what I don't get about this system is why is it in the game if you actually have an anti-cheat that's supposed to ban people for cheating? Why does this system exist? Is it left over from before they had Ricochet and they just haven't taken it out?
And sadly, no, that is not the case because it came with the Ricochet Anti-Cheat. The shadow banning system actually came during Caldera, the map from Warzone 1, which is also when they introduced the first portion of Ricochet. And so it's been there this entire time, which, again, isn't a good thing.
I don't know, but it's just a garbage system. Here's the thing, though. If you happen to fall into this category, two-boxing was the only way to really get out of that. You could join another account. You know, maybe that's why they're doing it. They don't want people in the shadow ban bracket like getting out of that at all. I don't know. But yeah, this was the only way to really get out of that shadow ban bracket is to join someone else's session once they've done the matchmaking for you, if that makes sense. Now, why are they doing this and worrying about this when their anti-cheat itself is complete garbage? I want to show you this from Twitter. This is from Nadeshot and Godric. So Godric's a really good player. Godric is one of the best players I've ever seen, honestly.
And by the way, Godric is on mouse and keyboard, so he does have quite a few flicks back and forth. It's very snappy when he's playing because he's using a mouse, which means it's easier to get on target, but it's harder to stay on target as the player's moving, which is called tracking.
Honestly, he's super good and he does not do anything. He doesn't even VPN. He doesn't two-box. He does not VPN. He plays completely legit and fair. Look at this Twitter duo here. This is just Call of Duty's fucking biggest problem in a nutshell in these 2 tweets. Look at this. Nadeshot says, aim lock, walls, Cronus Zens, and DDoSing. It's disgusting. Call of Duty has turned into a cheater's paradise, and unfortunately, it won't be stopped. Can't even tip good plays and good shots in kill cams because they might be hacked up. I love the game, but hate it too.
And I'm going to pause it right there because I do want to point out a couple of things. If you ever watch a kill cam or you ever spectate another player, and this goes to talking about what Nadeshot's saying because you can't really tell what's going on in kill cams, they are completely incorrect. There is a small portion of it where it's like, this is kind of what happened. But when you're watching a kill cam, what you need to understand is that it is a complete recreation of events from the server side. So the way that the server sees it happening, however, it leaves out a ton of information. It never recognizes certain perks that you have on. It never recognizes the correct number of players. It will not recognize the UAVs being up and a bunch of other things. So if you're ever watching a kill cam and you're like, how did he know I was there? And it gives you no correct audio, which is also another bug. It's probably because the kill cam, or if you're spectating someone you think they might be cheating, it's probably because it's completely bugged, which really sucks in a game that has so many cheaters that you can't trust the systems in place that are supposed to help us report the players so that we know who's actually cheating. So again, this shadow ban system where we report players, they get shadow ban thrown into limited matchmaking makes absolutely no sense because we can't even tell who's actually cheating. It's just a series of very unfortunate events and very, very bad mechanics that have been put in place by Activision. And I'm going to go further into this because it gets worse and worse the more you know about this system.
And right under this, the Twitter algorithm gave me this. And for the first time ever, I'm shadowed. And he's not eligible for appeal. Godric responds to me tweeting about this and says, the kicker is I don't 2-box, don't VPN. I've been playing solos to avoid the insane SBMM and resurgent squads lobbies and still got fucked over by Activision. You cannot win with this game.
And it simply isn't a joke. On repeat, good players, average Joes, like the most incredibly average Joes are getting shadow banned, but also players like Godric. I mean, Nadeshot. And guess what? We have a whole list of people who have been getting shadow banned as of lately from Repulse. He dropped a tweet today or yesterday, I'm not 100% sure, that said a bunch of top Warzone players in the world have just been banned, shadow banned, from ranked at the exact same time. WTF is going on. They've all competed at LAN, by the way. And I will say, competing at LAN means nothing these days, which kind of sucks because we've seen time and time again that these people will be hacked up at their house and then they'll go and compete at LAN and win or lose based on that. And realistically, it's only been a couple of players that we've seen, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there are people that are cheating and getting away with it in LAN and stuff like that. So you kind of can't trust whether or not someone is real good or real bad based on their experience at LAN. So I never kind of keep that in mind. I just base it off of what we can see with our own eyeballs, which kind of sucks, but I would never just go out of my way to, accusate people without asking questions. I think it's very important that whenever you look at these pro players, whenever you look at people that play thousands and thousands of hours, you have to ask questions, not accuse. This is one of those things that I always say. If you're accusing, you kind of suck. But if you're asking questions, I think that makes a lot more sense. Either way, the first one is a picture of Almond in ranked play. It says this account is currently under review and temporarily suspended from ranked play. Almond, one of the top players in the world. We have Super Evan, who has been in the past and in Warzone 1 and other games, a top player in the world. Once again, this company stinks. We have Noobs and Empathy Trick. I'm not going to be hateful. I don't know who a lot of these guys are, but these two players, top players in the world, immediately out of the system. And it's so weird. We have a second tweet from Repulse from some really big players. We got King Matty here, a Spanish content creator from what I can tell, and he's been shadow banned. We have Omit Inkio, shadow ban, like a ton of players. My point is there's a lot of players that are getting shadow banned. And it's not even the best players in the world. Of course, the best players in the world have to deal with it, because when you have a player that ends up in a lobby with you, and I'm going to get into a conversation about skill-based matchmaking in a minute and how that messes with people's heads. But when you have top players that get into lobbies with lower skilled players, which is a naturally occurring event, they will just report, because one, you have bad kill cams. You have bad spectating. So they watch somebody that's ridiculously good, and all of a sudden they're like, they've got to be cheating because it looks like certain things are happening that simply aren't happening. You have a lack of information. You can't put a really good player against a really low skilled player and expect them to fully understand who should and shouldn't be getting reported. It is not a good system, especially knowing how it works at hand. So the first thing I want to do is go in and check out some of the responses from people in these tweets. First of all, we have Low GGIE. He said, I'm so glad this is getting light. Now creators and pros are finally starting to see the flawed shadow ban system. People without big influences have been affected for years, no hate, but I'm glad these bigger creators are experiencing this now, so this problem gets fixed. I will note, that's kind of a stupid thing to say. No offense to my boy here. I'm saying that realistically, it makes kind of no sense, because that's actually not true in the slightest. They have been getting shadow banned for a very long time. It's just that it seems to be getting progressively worse and worse and worse until it's reaching a fever pitch. We have Dilla, who, again, top tier player, said 2 years I was stuck on this and no one helped me. Maven and Tim tried to get me in contact, but the contacts never helped me. I would go through my DMs, but I don't want to leak anything or anything like that between myself and the back end team, because for sure I would definitely get in trouble for that one. That's probably not a good idea. But I also got shadow banned recently on Black Ops 6 and in Warzone. I reached out to the creator team over at Activision, and they said, hey, I'll pass this along. Guess what? Nothing changed. Nothing changed. I can still get shadow banned, and like there's no help on the back end. And don't get me wrong, I'm a creator. I get people not wanting creators to have special privileges, but also if these creators are playing 8 hours a day and you're playing 30 minutes a day, it's a little bit different. These creators are making content on the game, which I will say, I realize from just like an average Joe's perspective, it sounds really dumb to say this, but there's a certain amount of advertising that comes with it. So it makes sense to help these creators. But if the creators also naturally are cheating, the Ricochet team is so disconnected from the creator team that you'll still get banned. So I know there's a lot of conversation about whether or not like it is good to allow creators to get special privileges and stuff like that. And there's a lot of confusion around it. I think one day I might need to make a video on that, because trust me, there are clicks in the background. There are people that get extra help. There are people that get extra privileges. There are certain things that I personally also think are gross, but I also understand a certain perspective that comes from being someone that's been in this space for 14 plus years, right? Like that's the reality of it. But even more so, we have other people. We've got Funky J said their ego's too big to make a change. They'll stay silent on this and either unshadow them all or just not do anything and wait it out and like everyone else. Memo said, I got shadow banned for the first time after playing since 2020 Warzone 1 Verdansk from the beginning. It took 9 days, and today I got un-shadow banned. And I will say it's pretty common that your first shadow ban actually takes over a week. That is pretty common, and I think it's about your trust score. If you know what, we'll get into this in a minute, but I think that's what it has to do with. But again, he says, I hope that I don't get more shadow bans in the future. They have to remove the shadow ban. I've been shadow banned for the past 2 weeks, and I got freed today, so I guess this is the second wave of shadows. There's a ton of people. A lot of these people responding, regular Joes. These are not like crazy good players. These are just regular people. And in a minute, I'm going to show you what happens when you get shadow banned, because I think that's a very important thing to look at. However, I want to talk about the shadow ban system and how it works and why Ricochet is the most useless anti-cheat on the face of the planet. And I'm also wanting to say I'm very tired of making negative videos about Call of Duty. I love playing Call of Duty. I'm just so tired of having to deal with the same stupid issues from a company that only cares about yoinking as much money as they can from every single person on the planet. As many people as they can just yoink money from with the least amount of effort going in. And it blows my mind. We're in a situation, and I'm going to have a whole video talking about this, where Fortnite is now creating a first-person mode that is going to destroy Call of Duty. It's currently the one that they have is only, and I mean only, search and destroy. That's what it is. It's first person, search and destroy. They got guns, they got it all, right? But I think it's going to end up in a situation where things get a little crazy. Either way, let's talk about the shadow ban system and how it works. First, I'm going to look up the Call of Duty TOS or limited matchmaking or something like that on online. I don't know if I can find it. Let's see. Call of Duty security and enforcement policy. Now, I made a whole video talking about this, but I know, white screen. I'm so sorry. Here's what happens, right? Account and limited matchmaking. This is what a shadow ban is. I'm gonna zoom in even more so that you can actually just read it a little bit better. But the definition of account in limited matchmaking is if a player is suspected of violating this policy, their account may be put into a limited matchmaking state. Accounts in this state may be matched with other accounts in a similar state. Members of player's party may also experience limited matchmaking while partied with a player in this state. At any time, the account may be returned to normal matchmaking, placed in a limited matchmaking state, or it may receive a temporary or permanent ban. So when you hear shadow ban, these players did not actually get banned, okay? What happened is, and this is why it is horrendous, okay? What happened is Call of Duty has taken a system that allows players to report other players, and that's fine. However, these players that are getting reported are not actually being looked at. They are sending it to the back end of Ricochet, and Ricochet has a set number of reports for each player before it will throw them into a limited matchmaking state to take them out of the regular player list, basically, like the regular playlist and stuff like that. I'm sorry, I keep trying to move my chair up. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so if I report somebody and I get a notification, that means they're banned, right? Well, no. What's actually happening is that they're just getting thrown into this playlist, which is limited matchmaking. And you can join any game type while in limited matchmaking, but you will only fight other players. And we're going to watch a video in a minute showcasing exactly what it's like to be in a shadow ban lobby, specifically in Resurgence for Warzone. But again, the issue is that we're handing these reins over to players who simply don't understand whether or not players are actually cheating. It's a best guess scenario, or people will go out of their way to report people that they lose to just because they lose to them and they're mad. So we're allowing players who should not be allowed to report other players when they don't even think they're cheating to do that. And as you report them more times, it makes more of an opportunity for Ricochet to be like, all right, this dude could be cheating, so let's throw him in a limited matchmaking. So it doesn't matter if you're good, you're bad, it does not matter at all. Now, here's the issue with this. While you may think that's a good thing, they should get thrown into limited matchmaking for the cheaters. The problem is no one's looking at it. There is not a single person on the back end actually checking accounts at all. We know this because time and time again, we have been told from people that cheat that they immediately, within a week to 2 weeks, will get un-shadowbanned and thrown right back in. They get multiple accounts so that if they get shadowbanned, they switch to the next account. And then they just cycle through the accounts as they get un-shadowbanned. These guys are getting out for absolutely free. That means that we are just taking out random players for no freaking reason. None whatsoever. And it's got to be... it's got to be the most frustrating system. And my best guess as to why they've not taken this out is for Placebo. Again, like I mentioned earlier, what'll happen is you will report somebody. If they get shadow banned, not if they get banned. If you report someone and they get shadow banned, Call of Duty will send you a notification saying we have taken action against this player or against a player that you reported. Again, it has nothing to do with a temporary or permanent ban. It is a limited matchmaking state that they throw them into. Now, along with anybody being able to report and kill cams being incorrect and spectating being incorrect, we also have the matchmaking system. Now, Call of Duty has a weird matchmaking algorithm. Okay, and I'm gonna show it to you right here. And the thing about this matchmaking algorithm, I'm gonna zoom in quite a bit so you can see it. The thing about this matchmaking algorithm is that it includes a ton of different things. If this was purely based on connection, it wouldn't matter. None of this would ever matter in the slightest, right? And this is, again, a big proponent, this is, again, why I'm such a big proponent into why we shouldn't have this current matchmaking system, is because there's so many things that get thrown to the side and get broken because of the way that the matchmaking system is built. So what we have here is we have connection is king. This is the most important thing, which is why it's at the top, right? So you've got connection at the top. You have playlist diversity. You have recent maps and modes. You have input device. This is all in order as to what's important. Now, equally as important, left to right, based on what it says, it's not actually. Equally as important is time to match. And then across from recent maps and modes is skill/performance, which is skill-based matchmaking, which is what everybody thinks. We have input device, and across from that we have platform. And then at the bottom, the least important thing is supposed to be voice chat. This is just not true. They put all this out, and the goal was for, quote, transparency, because they were getting bad press. They used this to say we use all these things, but they didn't explain how things are weighted. And the issue with not explaining the weight of these is that it leaves for a lot of interpretation. It leaves us to assume that they're doing the good things that they can do with the matchmaking system. And in fact, if you scroll down, there's actually quite a bit more information that you can learn about this. They have community questions. Does Call of Duty consider player engagement, which is the most scummy way to try and act like they were telling us that engagement optimized matchmaking doesn't exist, but I'll get to that in a second. Does the Call of Duty matchmaking process impact any in-game elements such as hit registration, player visibility, aim assist, damage, other stuff like that? That is supposed to be skill-based damage. They say no. There's a bunch of different things that they go in and they say no point blank. But the matchmaking system's goal is to retain players, okay? Which means that while you may think that you shouldn't be playing against certain players, Call of Duty actually doesn't care. Whether this be in multiplayer, whether this be in Warzone or whatever, Call of Duty simply does not care about placing you against players that are of your own skill level. We've been of this mindset for years that the matchmaking system is mostly based on skill. The reason why is because when you go into a game, which I find kind of hilarious, you will end up fighting people that are usually in about 8 out of 10 of your games, the same, if not slightly better than you. The reason why is because in most cases, that is how players are retained. The goal of this matchmaking system is simply to retain the player for as long as possible. Of course, it's like, all right, well, everything wants retention. You know, that's why people edit videos a specific way. That's why TikTok has an algorithm that's all about what you like. This is why YouTube has an algorithm to make sure that you're watching videos and stuff like that. They want to retain the person on the platform for as long as physically possible. Right. But there's a second step to that. Why would a company want to retain someone as long as possible? Because they want them to have fun? No. Have we not learned anything in the year 2000 on, since the internet's been a thing? Every single thing is about money. The idea behind this system, and there's a white paper or white page that you can go look up about engagement optimized matchmaking, something that keeps the person engaged. The whole thing is that they are more likely to spend money in the store the longer that they play the game, because people have like this thing in their head. And this is not like conspiracy theory. This is literally just how psychology works. the longer that you spend time on something, the more likely you are to spend money on that thing. So the more that they retain the player, well, the longer they'll end up sticking around and deciding whether or not they want to spend a little cash on the game. They don't feel as bad whenever it's like, well, I've played long enough. Maybe I should get this weapon skin. Maybe I should get this character skin. If I'm going to be playing more, I may as well just go ahead and get these things. And that happens over and over. But all this information was to say this: the game does not care what kind of lobbies it puts you in as long as it's retaining you. It's not about fun. It's not about making sure that you're having a good time. It's about retaining the players. So they will put you into lobbies with players that are much lower skill level than you. They will put you into lobbies with players that are much higher skill level than you. The whole point is to retain you, right? All of that is to say that if there's a system where players can go and report other players, there are going to be people that simply do not quite understand how someone can do something very well. Now, I'm not here to protect cheaters. I've said this before. I think there is a certain way that we should handle cheaters in the real world. If you steal someone's time, I think that there should be repercussions, whether that be a fine or community service or something like that. I think that there is a certain amount of work that you should have to do towards the world if you're going to be stealing time from other people. So no, I'm not here to protect any cheaters. I'm not here to protect any streamers. I am tired of a company going out of their way to manipulate their audience, manipulate the people that are spending money on the game and trying to make them spend more money on the game and then turning them against each other, which is what this audience is going to do. Go into the comments right now and read all the comments. You're going to be mind blown at how many assholes there are being assholes to other people, because this company wants us, for the sake of their own money, to turn against each other. That's why forever and ever and ever, whenever people are like, if we just all band together, Call of Duty will have to make a change. Realistically, they have manipulated us enough to where we will never band together and give them the middle finger. That is the realistic scenario that we are living in right here. That is what it is. So you cannot hand the reins over to the player in this. You need an actual anti-cheat. You cannot use something that puts you into lobbies like the one we're about to look at right here. Now, I found this creator. Their name is Draken. I went to their page and I went through a lot of their stuff. And I'm not 100% sure because I think that a lot of these thumbnails may not be theirs. In fact, I'm 90% sure that most of these thumbnails are not theirs. They also have things about cheating using certain softwares. So I'm not going to tell you to check this guy out, but he does have a great video showcasing what it's like to actually be in a limited matchmaking lobby. So I wanted to showcase to you what happens if you've never been shadow banned. And I hope that maybe this changes your mind on whether or not you want to report random players and ruin the days of poor Warzone dads that are just trying to get off of work and have a good day. But I want to showcase to you the experience that is hopping in to a shadow ban lobby. So let's go ahead and check this out here. He's hopping in, and immediately we've got a guy that said report lethal. Okay, this is a 12-minute video. We're gonna stop and we're gonna talk about a few more things as time goes on. But I really just want to showcase to you how crazy these lobbies are. And he did get thrown into limited matchmaking. He showed it at the beginning of the gameplay. I can just tell you that up front, so we're not wasting like 45 seconds, 2 minutes, something like that, just showcasing it. He's gonna splat the ground. And his goal is to check out the players in the lobby because, again, these are players that also got shadow banned. And sure, the shadow ban system may, and you'll see this in a second, take cheaters out of the system, but it also takes players that aren't cheaters out of the system. Now, ironically, I don't know if this guy's cheating. I'm not trying to call him out for anything because I simply don't know. I haven't looked enough into his content to decide whether or not he's a cheater at the video game or why he got thrown into certain, limited matchmaking states. But obviously the reporting system has thrown him into here. So we're going to be watching as many players as he wants to throw at us, and maybe we'll see who's cheating, right? It seems like everybody on this team off rip is going to be pretty decent level. And when I say pretty decent, I mean like level 55. This guy, not level 55. My curiosity is how long does it take for us to find somebody that is cheating? Because I personally, whenever I hopped into Black Ops 6, I personally, whenever I hopped into Black Ops 6, actually got shadow banned, right? For the first week I hopped in, I was working on doing headshots and stuff like that, and I was playing Nuketown. What I would do is I would aim for as many headshots as I could. The issue is, whenever you get multiple in a row, people see that and they immediately go and report you, right? They'll see, oh, this guy, another guy, Connor, cheater 2. You'll see in the text chat and stuff like that, that people will be like, oh, he hit multiple headshots, he's got to be cheating. They'll say stuff like that. You'll immediately get reported, and slowly but surely, you'll end up getting shadow banned. It happens. It is just incredibly annoying, but there's not much that we can do about it. This guy right here, Mr. House, immediately, by the way, you can see he's cheating. Just immediately. Just immediately, you can see. And I'm going to skip back here. Let's go back another second. He's got a guy down below him. He full tracked perfectly. This guy comes up. I'm going to actually take this. We're going to put this playback speed to 0.5. Let's press play. Goes immediately to the head. Immediately to the head. Once again, 2 headshots just off rip. So you can tell, obviously, these shadow ban lobbies do have cheaters in them. But from reading the chat, my guess is this. There are players in this lobby that simply aren't cheating. You keep seeing people in the game chat that are saying, this guy's cheating. This guy's cheating. This guy's cheating. And my guess is that these guys are not cheaters. They're just getting thrown into limited matchmaking. Now, the thing about limited matchmaking is you truly have no idea whether or not you're in it unless you look up on the Activision site the appeal a ban so that you can go through and see if you're shadow banned. So, Mr. House here is literally shooting through this. And it's just so goofy because these guys should naturally be getting banned, right? But they'll get thrown in this limited matchmaking state, and then in a week or less than a week, they'll be back in. Now, a lot of these guys, again, will buy multiple different accounts, but some of them don't want to spend the money. A big problem that I have in Call of Duty right now is, and actually I think this is much better than having a crapload of rage hackers. A big problem in Call of Duty right now is that there's so many people that basically, how do I want to put this? Sorry, there's so many people in Call of Duty right now that are trying to hide that they're cheating, right? And the reason they're trying to hide is because they don't want to spend more money on another account. So when they try and hide that they're cheating, they're trying to get away with it. It's really frustrating because you just can't tell. So you don't know who's cheating and who's not cheating, especially with the spectating system. You do end up spectating random players now, which is very frustrating. But with the spectating system, there's just so many weird things that aren't right in the slightest. There's just so many weird things with spectating that don't work. So you don't know who you're reporting. You don't know who you should report. You don't know whether or not it's the right thing to do to report. And if you report and the guy's not cheating, they can still end up in these lobbies. And it's just very frustrating. I think it's very weird that like how crazy these guys are. If I skip ahead a little bit, we should have, yeah, again, the same guys. It's 2 teams right here. 3v1. Is this the same team? Oh, by the way, it looks like, so these guys get the win, but let's move on to the next game here, just so I can showcase something to you. We're spectating a team right here. It's in game, and it looks like this guy, if I skip ahead of here, is going to end up dying to another player. And this is the next step that is very frustrating. And it's the guy that he dies to. So as you can see right there, the guy we're spectating is cheating. He was snapping left and right onto the player, and the only reason he didn't get the elimination is because the guy was very fast. Now this guy, Zesty, as you can see, is iridescent in ranked play. What that means is that this guy right here has had the account for a very long time because ranked play just came out. This video came out on December 1st. So this is ranked play from Rebirth at the very least. And so this guy's been playing on this account forever without getting fully banned. So this is why the shadow ban system makes no sense, is because we have actual cheaters who simply aren't getting fully banned. So let's get it to this guy. He's rocking gold. He's got a Model L. He's playing with a guy named Lethal. I'm actually kind of curious. Maybe that... Oh, yeah, this guy's cheating. Immediately. I mean, immediately. He's shooting at people that he simply can't see. So it's like, what is the point? In my personal opinion, I think the big issue is you have to ask yourself, what is the point of a system that is supposed to make the game better? I think at this point that reports are simply about placebo. I think we're to a point where reports are all about making players feel better and making them think that they're actually doing something. When in reality, no one's actually getting checked. No, like, you have people like this that have been playing long enough to get ranked place season 1 and stuff like that. To be fair, actually, if I go back, I think that guy had Black Ops 6 right here, so maybe he hasn't had the account that long. But it's just so goofy to see stuff like this. I mean, he's got gold on his guns. He's been able to get gold, and he's gotten away with it. And this guy right here, funny enough, goes and uninstalls the game. So my big problem with the shadow ban system, all in all, is that I don't think that we should have a system, plain and simple, that is in the hands of the players for the sake of placebo. Because there's nothing that ever comes from it. People can sit there and cheat indefinitely. And all they do is they make another account. Or they just wait for their account to get un-shadowbanned, or they buy another account. Everybody that's cheating has the ability to get back on the game. The only thing that's happening is that they are punishing the actual real good players, the actual players that are not cheating. People that are not cheating are the ones getting punished, while the other people are just able to get back on whenever they want. There's things like spoofers. There's things like, obviously you can buy other accounts. No one, like, even if you get, hear me out, even if you get hardware ID banned, that means your computer itself is unable to play on the game. You don't have to buy a new computer. Guess what? You don't have to buy a new computer. All you have to do is get a software called a spoofer, and you will immediately, and I mean quite literally immediately, be able to get right back on. So what's the point? What's the point of a system that does basically nothing? That is my confusion right now. And I'm going to take us to a tweet just to prove this point right here. Let me translate the post. This guy, massive creator. If I pull up his Twitch right here, you can see he's a Spanish content creator, and he has 379,000 followers. Okay. He looks like he's been forced to play Minecraft as of late, which I find quite hilarious because he keeps getting shadow banned. But if I go right here, I got it translated from Spanish. He said, I just got shadow banned from Warzone again on my new PC. The last time it happened, I got shadow banned, infinite loop, and my agency ended up buying me a PC, and I ended up buying an old account from a friend. 4 months go by, and they shadow ban me again. What do I do? What the hell do I do? Buy another PC? 14 days without content from the game that I mainly stream. What is this? So there's people that are going out of their way that aren't cheating, that are actively having to buy completely new computers. There are people that are having to buy completely new accounts, which, by the way, is insane that we are buying accounts in 2024, but this is not a good system. And I'm just trying to nail this in. Shadow banning makes no sense. Call of Duty, Activision, Treyarch, Ricochet. Stop it! It makes no sense. There is nothing good that comes out of it. And if you don't see that, you are actively stupid. You like literally have to be dumb to think that this system does anything good for your player base, and to sit there and actively go out of your way to hurt like good players, people that are not hurting anyone else and are just playing the game and getting reported by other people that can't tell what's going on because of bad systems like the kill cams that don't work, the spectating that's been bugged for over 2 years. I do not understand how y'all had it right with Warzone 1. And I'm not talking about cheating. Cheating was all messed up in Warzone 1 because you launched a game without an anti-cheat, which blows my mind. I don't know how you're like, you know what? We're gonna drop a game. It doesn't need an anti-cheat. It's gonna be free to play. We're just gonna make a crap load of money. We're gonna be good. But in Warzone 1, like these guys did not have to deal with the same system. You didn't have shadow bans. You didn't have the report system and stuff like that. And now you you added in something just to make people think. If you don't understand at this point that everything is about manipulating you, including the matchmaking system, including cheating, including buying skins and stuff like that, you are truly lost. And again, I am so tired of making these videos. I need you to understand that. I'm so very tired of having to be the one that points out all the bad system that's in place just to purely manipulate you, just to purely make you believe things that simply aren't true. There are literally like, oh, don't even get me started on hacker hunters, right? The people that also are there to take advantage of the manipulation that Call of Duty has put into place. They manipulate you further because the more you believe that certain people are cheating, which adds to the shadow ban system, which also adds to the number of people that are cheating because they're like, if they're going to cheat, I'm going to cheat. The more that you believe certain things, instead of thinking for yourself, the more you've been manipulated, the more money they make, the more views that they get, and the more that we do this stupid cycle over and over and over and over. Man, I just feel like I'm to the point to where I wish there was some sort of way to just open people's eyes. And it's so frustrating that you can just shout into the void with this, with these kind of things. And people are simply gonna go into the comment section and you're gonna see it. And I'm not like whining or griping or anything like that. It's kind of just to prove a point. You can go into the comment section of this video and truly see how blind people are to reality. And it's because of pure manipulation for money. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's sad. I wish we didn't have these things going on. I hope that in the future something happens. I think that with Fortnite dropping some crazy game modes and stuff like that, we're going to see a big change in the scene. I think Call of Duty might get knocked out, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Call of Duty's on its way out right now because we have had multiple years of bad integrations with Warzone, which was kind of the last thread that Call of Duty had hanging for it. I'm not going to lie for you. I know that people don't like to believe that, but Call of Duty was in a rough place. A very rough place. Modern Warfare 19, the nostalgia, in my personal opinion, is what saved Call of Duty. Warzone, being the biggest game, saved Call of Duty. Now people are looking at Call of Duty again, and you know what they've done 5 years in a row? They've just tossed out absolute bull, bro. Just, here you go. And then they don't give people what they've asked for year in, year out, over and over and over. They're just in a weird situation right now. And I hope and I pray to God that when you listen to me, you understand I am being so upfront, so honest with you. I don't care about going to Call of Duty next. I don't care about Activision paying me. Why would I care about that? Why would I care? Why would I take $1,000 from Activision whenever I can just actually make videos talking about reality and make more money from that? Like, anyway, I'm gonna end the video there. I don't know what else to say. It was kind of just a rant, but I appreciate y'all. I do. I hope you learn something from the videos when I do stuff like this. I know that somebody's gonna watch this and be like, "Damn, this dude just does not shut up." And I kind of get it. I get it. I don't want to. I'm tired of whining and griping about stuff. That's where I'm at. I wish that content like spectating and random duos and having fun and entertaining videos was where it was at right now. But sadly, I mean, most people are just upset. Everybody's in the same boat. And I think that being honest and being open about things like that is kind of the best thing that I could do. But anyway, subscribe for more. We got some good videos planned over the next few days. If you need loadout videos, go check out my second channel, Expel Plus. I almost called it Expel and Cut. I don't want to talk about it. Shut up. If you've been here a while, you know why I almost called it that. But I had to change it because people kept making weird jokes. That's it.